lower than what the company was valued at when it went public back in 2018. That was almost $2 billion. But the pandemic had a big impact on Eventbrite and the live event industry. It was purchased by Milan-based Bending Spoons, which also owns tech brands like Vimeo, AOL, and WeTransfer. Well, the best-known animal at the California Academy of Sciences has died. Claude, the albino alligator, died yesterday. That famous alligator was a big part of the museum for almost 20 years. He was born in Louisiana, moved to the Florida Zoo, and then was brought to San Francisco in 2008. Claude celebrated its 30th birthday in September and was believed to be one of the oldest albino alligators in human care. In recent weeks, animal care teams started treating Claude for a suspected infection.
We miss Claude.
I want Claude.
Claude's like the fog. Everybody knows who Claude is. He liked to just hang out and be really still, but occasionally you'd catch a magical surprise and you'd see him swimming around. It was sort of magical.
Very magical. The UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine will conduct a full examination to determine the official cause of Claude's death. Time now 6:59. The FDA is expanding a safety warning for imported cookware that may be leaking lead. And some of the products were sold right here in the Bay Area. The cookware was manufactured in India. That's where certain metal alloys are used that are not allowed in the U.S. because of the risk of leaking lead into food. The pans, the bowls, and other kitchen gear were sold at several Indian markets in Fremont, San Leandro, and Sacramento. The FDA says there's no safe level of lead exposure, and consumers should immediately get rid of any cookware that's affected.
Teachers in the West Contra Costa Unified School District getting ready to go on strike. We'll examine the options for parents and students as the start of the school day tomorrow may look very different. Then a key decision regarding a teenager arrested in connection to a Black Friday shooting at Valley Fair Mall. What we could learn outside of today's court hearing in this very closely watched case. Then FIFA set to award a special peace prize this Friday, the same day as the World Cup draw. While human rights activists are questioning the motive and the protections they're calling for from FIFA officials.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
And here we are at 7 o'clock. We're glad you're with us. I'm Garcia Michaelian.
And good morning, I'm Dave Clark. It's Wednesday, December 3rd. Did you have anything to do with those pretty skies that we have around
Mother
the Bay
Nature
area?
And Father Time. And Roberta Gonzalez.
And Roberta Gonzalez. Okay, we'll give you some of that, too.
Oh, isn't it glorious? What's behind me here? Santa Cruz. Look how beautiful it is there. But we had that beach hazard statement in effect in addition to the coastal flood advisory. Morning, everybody. Rise and shine. These are the temperatures that will greet you out the door this morning. We are at 39 degrees in Fremont right now, 56 degrees in the Fairfield area, otherwise partly sunny today with decreasing winds. The winds this morning are going to be the gustiest and all day long. Live weather camera now looking out at the beautiful Golden Gate Bridge and just hints of some fog there, but it's not the Tule fog. That's what's inundating the Novato area at 37 degrees. But we do have few clouds in Livermore at 44. It's 45 in the city, mid-40s around the peninsula. The wind's 15 in Santa Rosa. Gusts up to 26 in the Fairfield area. And 5-mile-per-hour winds pretty flat around the peninsula. We do have gustier winds in the highest elevation. So if you're going to be driving near the Caldecott Tunnel, we have gusts up to 24. Again, these northeasterly offshore winds will begin to decrease during the day. Quarter-mile visibility due to fog in Nevada. Otherwise, everybody else is pretty okay. Numbers today, we should all reach the 60s, from 60 in Pacifica to 64 degrees in Santa Rosa. Sal Castaneda will talk more about today's winds, the beach hazard statement, and the coastal flood advisory. But right now, how about steering everybody into work today?
You know, I can do that, Roberta. Thank you very much. Let's go right out to Interstate 80 westbound and show you that the East Shore Freeway is moderate. It's a little slow in Richmond. there's nothing you're going to see that is going to be unusual here. When you get to the Bay Bridge, we're backed up. As you come out toward the area, you can see the traffic is moving along okay. Also, this morning's commute is backed up to the toll plaza right here on the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. It's about a 25-minute delay. Now, at 7:02, let's get back to the headlines.
All right, thank you, Sal. Well, about 3,000 teachers and other staff in the West Contra Costa Unified School District are getting ready to go on strike tomorrow.
Our Ali Rasmus live here to explain why members of two separate unions in the district say they're ready to walk the picket lines.
Yeah, those two unions include the Teachers Union, United Teachers of Richmond, with about 1,500 members. They are preparing to go on strike. And then there's also the Teamsters Union here in the district that represents clerical, food service, paraeducational, and maintenance and security workers in the district. They are also going on strike tomorrow morning. At the center of the labor dispute for the Teachers Union is the issue of pay. Teachers want a 5% increase in salaries. The district has offered 3%, which is the amount a state-appointed mediator recommended. West Contra Costa Unified is facing a $17 million budget deficit this year. The Teachers Union, though, says educators in this district are underpaid compared to others in the region, and they believe the district does have the funds, but needs to prioritize teacher salaries.
The district can afford educators' proposals to invest in our students and more. The district can and must do better. The resources exist to staff our schools and pay a living wage. The only missing thing is the will to do it.
Compensation increases only increase the size of the financial reductions our board must make this year. I will continue to push our team to pursue a negotiated agreement with the teachers union that provides a fair compensation increase and avoids a strike.
West Contra Costa Unified did not respond to KTVU's request for an interview yesterday, but instead, their superintendent posted a message on the district's webpage, and in that message, which you just heard part of, she mentions the district's budget constraints. Now, as for the 1,500 workers in the district represented by the Teamsters Union, again, food service, maintenance, paraprofessional workers, they were also calling for an 8% increase in pay. The district offered them 3%. And then as of last week, their union leadership recommended that members approve that 3% deal. But in an unexpected turn of events, members of that union voted to reject that tentative agreement just yesterday. So that's why the staff members represented by the Teamsters in West Contra Costa Unified are also going on strike tomorrow morning. So in total, about 3,000 people who work for this school district will be on the picket lines tomorrow. I just heard back from one of the representatives of the Teachers Union. They said negotiations, there are no plans to resume negotiations today, so it looks like this strike will be happening tomorrow morning. Live in Richmond, Ali Rasmus, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, Ali, thank you. Time now 7:05 in San Jose. A court arraignment in juvenile court is scheduled this morning for the teenager arrested over the weekend in connection with the Black Friday shooting at the Valley Fair Mall. San Jose police arrested the 17-year-old as well as a woman suspected of helping him escape from the mall after the shooting. 3 people were shot and wounded, and criminal charges are expected to be filed today. The Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office could prosecute the teenager as an adult, and investigators believe the shooter was targeting a rival gang member.
A vigil in Stockton is planned for tonight to honor the 4 people killed last weekend in a mass shooting there. Stockton's vice mayor said in a statement he is working closely with the police and sheriff's department to find the shooter. The 2 youngest victims in the shooting have now been identified. 8-year-old Maya Lupain was a 3rd grader at Aspire Apex Academy in Stockton. According to a GoFundMe account, another 8-year-old victim, Journey Guerrero, was a 3rd grader at Commodore Stockton Skills School. 3 of the 4 who died were children. 11 more people are hospitalized, many of them members of the same family.
Really, really kind of sad that the people would actually come here knowing there were children. There was a 2-year-old child's birthday party.
City leaders in Stockton have said they think the shooting was gang related. The San Joaquin County Sheriff's Department has not gone that far. Investigators say they're still looking for those responsible.
Our time now 7:07. FIFA says it will award a peace prize before the World Cup. But now the NCAA and human rights leaders are speaking out against that prize. Now, leaders of FIFA say the prize will be awarded this Friday, but critics say the award was just created for President Trump. The announcement of the prize also was a surprise to many leaders on FIFA's council. They were not notified about the creation of that prize, and some are concerned the 2026 World Cup will be weaponized for political motives.
The U.S., Canada, and Mexico World Cup was supposed to be a game changer for human rights. The first World Cup ever with a human rights strategy. Today, we are going to hear whether those promises are being delivered. That prize has no transparent process, no nominees, no judges, and was, by the way, apparently news to the FIFA Council, which is the governing body of FIFA.
Now, critics believe that award will be given to President Trump in part because of the FIFA president's close relationship with President Trump.
Today is International Day of Persons with Disabilities, which follows yesterday's National Special Education Day, meant to highlight the vital services provided to our nation's children. According to data from the National Center for Education Statistics, more than 7 million students between the ages of 3 and 21 currently receive special education services under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. They receive what is widely seen as critical help that makes a difference in and out of the classroom.
Find children's least restrictive environment for them. That means finding the most opportunities we can for them to learn alongside their non-disabled peers. We know they are being able to feel like they are an integrated member of their society.
The professor warns 98% of U.S. school districts report shortages of special education teachers. They're also twice as likely to leave the field compared to their general education colleagues.
Our time now 7:09. Some people in San Francisco with special needs could see a lapse in specialized transportation as state funding cuts are threatening to put one provider out of business. Gateway Transportation has a fleet of buses that takes adults with developmental disabilities to day programs. It's one of the few providers here in the Bay Area. But early next year, the state is changing how much those providers are reimbursed. The owner of Gateway says the rate changes could force him to close his business and says there may not be another company to take its place.
I have had to take money out of my account to pay payroll and expenses to keep the company going. And we're at a point now where with this substantial cut, I can't afford to do it anymore.
Now, the company sent its data and its suggestions to the state. The State Department in charge of that program says it's studying that data to try to come up with a solution.
Time is 7:10. We do have traffic that is backing up all the way out to the MacArthur Maze, which is not unusual for the Bay Bridge. It's about a 20 to 25 minute delay. If you look at the East Bay commute, you can see that we do have some slowing between 238 and Stevenson on 880. We had some earlier issues. 680 southbound out of Pleasanton is not all that bad as you drive south. And if you're driving on 101 in San Jose, we had a couple of minor crashes right near 880. No, those crashes are gone, but the traffic is getting slower now in that Silicon Valley commute. 7:10. Let's go back to the desk.
All right, Sal, thank you. Well, the price of gas reached a 4-year low around the country, but not here in California. We'll tell you why.
A dramatic bus crash in broad daylight. What led the bus to slam into the wall of a building in Oakland, and how people jumped into action to help those in a panic.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes: your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
Welcome back to Mornings on 2. Our time now 7:14. Here's some of the stories we're following today. One person's now in custody after a shooting in San Francisco at Burton High School. The shooting started after noontime yesterday on that school campus in the Portola neighborhood. The school immediately went into lockdown after the shooting. There are reports a student was shot in the leg but is expected to be okay. It's still not clear if the suspect is a student at Burton High School. An investigation in the South Bay continues after a multi-vehicle crash where 2 people were killed, including a child. Police say the crash on Highway 87 in San Jose involved 2 Teslas, a Lexus, and a Toyota. An adult and a child were inside the Lexus and they were killed. Several cars burst into flames. Northbound Highway 87 was closed for about 5 hours, and that caused a major traffic backup, as you can imagine. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. And concerns in San Francisco over self-driving safety, well, they're growing after a Waymo robotaxi struck and hit a dog over the weekend. Waymo says the crash on Sunday night happened at Scott and Eddy Streets in the Western Addition. There was a passenger in the car. It comes just a few weeks after a cat was killed by a Waymo car in the Mission District. That led to a protest by some of the neighbors.
Cleanup is set to get underway today after an AC Transit bus slammed into an auto body shop in Oakland. Andre Sr. in studio here with the dramatic account, Andre, by those who stepped in to help passengers who were panicking.
Well, Garcia, the bus slammed into a shop in East Oakland, and immediately afterwards, workers at that shop say they shattered the windows of that bus and pulled people from the wreckage. This happened at Foothill Boulevard and 68th Avenue shortly before 1:15 yesterday afternoon. You could see some of it here in this video. AC Transit says that bus collided with an SUV at the intersection. The bus driver then lost control before slamming into the building. 11 people on board hurt, including a woman with a baby and a toddler.
He was bashing his window and the guy was kicking his window out. It was crazy because it was very shocking because people was in there was panicking, crying, and it was babies and stuff like that. So it was very scary though.
No one inside the building was injured, but in the SUV, 2 people were hurt, and AC Transit says no one in the vehicle suffered significant injuries. Investigators are now trying to determine who caused the initial collision.
Is video on board, and that video, we're trying to determine if that video can be downloaded. There's pretty significant damage to the front of the bus. There are also some other buses in the area, so we're going to collect as much video as possible.
As the investigation continues, the city is red tagging the building. Fire officials requested a structural engineer to examine the integrity of the structure. The Oakland Police Department leading the investigation of this crash. They say at this point it is unknown if drugs or alcohol played a role in what happened here. Dave?
All right, Andre, thank you. Well, the search goes on for the remains of a man who was swept out to sea along the coast of Big Sur. Amanpreet Thien was reported missing back on November 22nd. The Monterey County Sheriff's Office and the State Parks team spent 5 days intensely searching for him, but they called off the search the day before Thanksgiving. His family has not given up hope of finding his body. A volunteer diver has since picked up that search and has made 4 dives with an estimated 16 hours in the water.
It means a lot. And I'll be honest with you, he's the main reason we are not losing hope.
I'm going to search for somebody that already passed, but at the same time, I'm bringing closure to the family.
Now, that diver also located a 7-year-old girl who died at that same park last month, and he's recovered the remains of more than a dozen others who have drowned.
Let's get out the door here at 7:18. Sal, where are you most focused right now?
Well, the East Bay there, Garcia and Dave, good morning to you. I've been looking at the East Bay, and we're going to start there, looking at 880 and 680. And you can see that there is some slow traffic there on 238, 880, 680. It's not the worst commute I've seen. The Dumbarton Bridge is still a little bit better than it was yesterday. The San Mateo Bridge does have a little bit of slow traffic associated with. And we're looking also at the East Shore Freeway this morning. By the way, I haven't talked a lot about the peninsula because there's not a lot to talk about nicely. And westbound 80, as you can see, it looks okay. When you get to the Bay Bridge, we are backed up from the maze and the metering lights are on. Well, it does not look like fog is an issue here at the Bay Bridge. Let's go to Roberta. You were talking about fog earlier.
Yeah, some foggy conditions in the Novato area, also out in Antioch. That's where I saw some fog this morning. Hi, everybody. Good morning to you. The big question I've been getting is, will there be any rain soon or a white Christmas? Well, let's take a look at this. We have been dry now all the way since November 20th. That was our last rain. Measurable precipitation. So we are on a stretch of 13 straight days. If we see any precipitation, computer models right now are leaning towards one-day event, December 13th. But again, that's pretty far off. Then again, another rain event on December 21st with snow in Tahoe. But that could change. It's still a couple of weeks away. Live weather camera right now. Isn't this glorious? Doug Michelson, thank you so much for this. We do have clouds at 20,000 feet out towards Geyserville this morning. Those clouds are mixed up with a little bit of dense fog as well. Nevada, you're improving visibility there now. 1 mile, you were down to 0. Have an improving situation in Fairfield because the winds have kicked up there. Dense fog still in the Central Valley with the dense fog advisory until 11 o'clock this morning. All right, temperatures. 39 in Nevada with the fog, 39 degrees with areas of patchy fog around Fremont into Milpitas, 48 and a few high thin clouds at SFO, 43 at OAK and Moneta. You're looking good. The winds are gusty in Fairfield up to 28 miles per hour. Otherwise under 10 throughout all of our reporting stations. Beach hazard statement still in effect for that gray zone all the way up pretty much to the Mendocino coast and as far as south of Santa Cruz, the green area. Well, that is the coastal flood advisory. That's in effect until Sunday. We do have an area of low pressure. It's pounding up against the Pacific Northwest. It's causing actually some copious amounts of precipitation for Seattle and Portland. And in the higher elevations, it's a snow event. We are the recipient of some dry air mass, an offshore push, the windiest conditions this morning from that inside slider, and the temperatures going up ever so gently from 59 in San Rafael to 64 degrees. 64 is the popular number, and you know what? That's our average high temperature this time of the year in many of our neighborhoods. In fact, San Francisco should be at 64, but 62 today. Your extended forecast, it's a dry weather pattern. We're still hanging on to hopes for a little bit of precipitation by December 13th, otherwise sunny and dry through the period.
Roberta, thank you. There's a new housing forecast for the upcoming year, where in the Bay Area prices are expected to drop.
And you know how you make a list and check it twice during the holidays? Well, that can be challenging if you're shopping for someone who seems to have it all. We'll look at some of the top gifts this year that will impress even someone in your family who is hard to buy a gift for.
7:24, such a pretty look out across the bay and beyond parts of San Francisco in this picture. Such a nice way to wake up on a Wednesday morning. Not quite as cold as we've been in recent days. No rain moving in just yet. It really feels just about like it should on December 3rd. All right, happening today, the annual tree lighting ceremony at San Francisco's Ritz-Carlton Hotel. There will be live entertainment, including holiday carolers and trumpeters. Our own Betty Yu is co-hosting the festivities. She'll be joined by a child from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It all begins at 5:30 tonight.
Our time now, 7:25. Do you have someone on your gift or holiday list who already has everything or says, don't buy me anything?
Right, but then, of course, you have to get them something.
Yeah.
So I know gift cards have become an increasingly popular option in recent years, but we turn to the experts for creative ways to get gifts for the people who are so difficult to shop for. According to experts, their top picks include a foldable electric bike, cost less than $1,000, a robot lawnmower that can use a camera and knows how to avoid certain items on your lawn. There's also apparently a solid projector with no ceiling mount needed.
If this is your favorite game from the arcade, how about bringing it home? It's the ESPN Pro Competition LED 2-player arcade basketball game. It's $149, so a lot of bang for the buck here.
Other ideas include finding a gift that they would normally never buy for themselves, but they always wanted. Some homemade gifts or gifts that center on memories or photos can also be a good choice. Time now, 7:26. A trip to Disneyland in the new year may cost you less if you plan ahead. The discounts that were announced this week for all California residents that include $50 tickets.
Also a mixed picture for California's economic forecast. Well, it could feel like a bit of a mini roller coaster for some, and the factors driving the changes.
Good morning. The teenager accused in San Jose's Black Friday shooting at Valley Fair Mall is due in court this morning. We'll tell you about the big decision we'll be watching for in this case. And a new study is out putting a spotlight on next year's housing market, the parts of the Bay Area that are expected to see a major drop in prices.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Good morning and welcome back to Mornings on 2. I'm Dave Clark.
I'm Garcia Michaeli, and it is a busy Wednesday, December 3rd. Weather is a part of that, but I can't imagine today's weather will keep us from doing the outside things we might have planned.
Oh, finally some sunshine everywhere except this morning. We're starting off with the areas of fog around the Novato area. But take a look at this beautiful view from Geyserville this morning. Looking out, wow, those clouds are tremendous. They're coming in actually from the east from an inside slider. Then they're merging with that marine layer off the coast. Current air temperature 39 degrees in Novato to 39 degrees in Fremont. Also, wow, Walnut Creek. You just dipped into the high 30s back in through Danville, including Alamo. Otherwise, we're in the mid-40s, Tri-Valley. It is now 54 degrees in Santa Rosa and also Fairfield. And these temperatures are up to 18 degrees more mild than 24 hours ago. And that's basically because of that right there, the wind. 15 miles per hour in Santa Rosa, gusts up to 26 in Fairfield, calm in the Oakland area, as well as in Mountain View and wrap it around to San Carlos. Near the Caldecott Tunnel this morning, we've had some gusty winds up to 24 and 25 miles per hour, sustained winds. That's an offshore push. Does the air mass feel dry? It's because it is. The relative humidity on the way down, while the visibility is starting to improve in the Novato area. Otherwise, high temperatures today, 60 to 64 degrees with partly sunny skies everywhere. We got you covered with the full forecast all the way into the weekend. Right now, though, here's Sal Castaneda. So where are you busy this morning, Sal?
Well, in the East Bay is the busiest, Roberta, and the Bay Bridge always is the busiest. That's not unusual. It's about a 25-minute delay at the Bay Bridge before you make it onto the span. So things are about as normal as you would expect. There's a lot of slowing between 238 and Stevenson, almost all filled in. And 680 through Pleasanton is slow. South Bay commute also slowing down. Not a lot of crashes, but a lot of slow traffic heading to the West Valley. 732. Let's get back to the desk.
All right, Sal, thank you. Well, in San Jose, the teenage suspect accused of a shooting at the Valley Fair Mall on Black Friday will be in juvenile court this morning. We expect to find out if the district attorney will try to prosecute that teenager as an adult. KTVU's James Torres is in San Jose already. You have some more details. Good morning, James.
And good morning to you, Dave. We know the district attorney down here in Santa Clara County will officially announce the charges that they want to pursue against that 17-year-old suspect accused of that shooting at the Valley Fair Mall and arrested by San Jose police about 2 days later. We also know, according to the prosecution and those attorneys, that they are limited in what they can do depending on if that teenage suspect is tried as an adult or as a minor. Now, for starters, as a minor, law enforcement can't even tell us who the suspect is, but police have told us the 17-year-old suspected gang member entered Valley Fair Mall on Black Friday with a woman pushing a baby in a stroller. Officers say they confronted a rival gang group and began firing shots. Those bullets hit the suspect's intended target, as well as a teenage girl and an adult woman. They are expected to be okay. Police say they know this kid, that he was accused of running away from officers from the gang unit while holding a loaded gun back in February. His punishment, however, was a deferred judgment program, and he was put on a probation plan, part of Proposition 57 passed by voters back in 2016. We heard from San Jose's police chief, Paul Joseph, earlier this week, who says that is not enough to stop gun violence in the city.
I'm not sure what it will take for well-intended lawmakers to wake up and realize that gun violence should never have been lumped in with nonviolent property crimes in California's efforts to reform our system.
The chief also referenced a 13-year-old murder suspect accused of stabbing another teenager at Santana Row. Under California law, anyone under the age of 14 can never be tried as an adult. The chief says his punishment is that equivalent of someone who stole a car rather than someone who took a life. The teenage suspect in the Valley Fair Mall shooting will enter court this morning at about 8:30. We expect to hear from the district attorney immediately after. If the DA moves to try the suspect as an adult, A judge will have a final say if that's allowed to happen. We're live this morning in San Jose. I'm James Torres, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
James, thank you. The housing market isn't expected to make any big shifts in 2026, but price changes could look different depending on where you're looking in the Bay Area. According to a study by Realtor.com, home prices are predicted to rise at a modest rate nationwide. In the South Bay, they're expected to rise less than 1%. In San Francisco and Oakland, prices are expected to drop about 2.5%. Mortgage rates are forecast to average 6.3% next year. Notably, existing home sales are expected to jump after historically flat 2025.
Our time now 7:35. There's also a new study that says the U.S. economy will soften at the beginning of the year and then get stronger in the late 2026. But the UCLA Anderson report finds California's economic outlook is more complicated. AI and other tech sectors continue to expand thanks to major venture capital investments, but construction, hospitality, government-funded services, and other sectors, they're facing major headwinds due to pressure from federal spending cuts, the tariffs, and the impacts of the White House deportation policies.
Well, most of us here in California jump at the chance to fill up for $4 a gallon, and there are some stations out there. The price of gas is far lower just about everywhere else in the country. AAA reports a gallon of unleaded gas this morning nationwide is under $3. Here in California, the average price is $4.52, 12 cents more than a year ago. Now in San Francisco, the average price is $4.54. Oakland's averaging $4.43. San Jose averages $4.35. We'll turn to reporter Oliviana Calmes live in Hazelwood, Missouri, where drivers there are paying prices we haven't seen in more than 4 years.
Right, guys. Yeah, I'm sure you haven't seen $2.79 in a while there in California, but I did catch up with Gas Buddy analysts in the last couple hours, asked them specifically about California. They say it's a marginal change compared to some other states, but it has gone down about 4 cents in the last week. Now, this change, just that few cents, really does make a difference, especially for people who are Christmas shopping. I know I'm doing that, and analysts say this could go down even lower.
Moving into 2026, there's still some good news, though prices will go up seasonally. We could see some of the cheapest gasoline prices on a yearly basis since the pandemic.
New AAA data shows the national average price for regular gas has fallen to about $2.99 a gallon. Gas Buddy saying $3.01 is their average. That has dropped in all 50 states, some of the lowest levels we've seen in more than 4 years. Dahan with Gas Buddy said this is all thanks to cheaper oil, increased refinery output, and fewer people driving in the colder months. But he says this comes just as Americans brace for some of the priciest parts of the year: travel, heat, gifts, and groceries. But cheaper gas may help offset some of those pressures, especially for drivers who fill up often.
I was like, wow, I haven't seen something that cheap in a while.
It's encouraging, and it's a good thing because that's like one less essential that I got to worry about paying for with the food and clothes and shoes.
I mean, even 2 or 3 cents a gallon can, over the time of a year, make a difference. So it's definitely nice to have that little extra.
Gas Buddy analysts say that we could see prices go down as much as $10 to $15 a gallon in some states in the next few weeks before we could see it go back up again. Gasia.
Oliviana, it's all about perspective, right? We here in California would be so happy to pay $2.78 a gallon, but what do folks there in Missouri think about those gas prices? Are they high or are they great?
They say it's a welcome price right now, as we've seen higher prices up to $2.90, even $3 around here. So getting down to some places, I talked to those people at the gas station. One girl told me she drove around, found a place that was $2.68 yesterday. So if you shop around, it definitely helps no matter what state you're in.
Okay, I mean, driving around is not the best to preserve your gas, but I think we all have those cheap stations in mind as we make our way through the day. All right, it's good to talk with you, Oliviana. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liviana. Let's drive on over to Sal Castaneda. Check your morning commute. What's happening out there now, Sal?
All right, the migration into the Silicon Valley is definitely full strength now. If you're driving, let's say, out of the East Bay and heading south, you will see that traffic is going to be busy heading south. I want to show you here 880 between Hayward and Fremont. Some slow traffic there. Southbound 680 is also slow through Pleasanton as you drive through. And then the South Bay commute is going to be slow. Again, nothing out of the ordinary. If we're looking at some of the freeways here on the East Shore, it looks moderate. There's some slowing at the Richmond Bridge. And at the Bay Bridge, we do have a backup that stretches a little bit beyond the maze. But it's not the worst I've seen. Very routine this morning trying to get into San Francisco. Now, let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, Sal. So allowances are averaging about $50 a month or higher. I know.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't wrap my mind around it here. This is all according to a new survey. Parents say they're giving more because they want to teach real-world money skills to their children before those children grow up and leave the house.
We'll think about that, and we'll talk more about it when you join us on the 9. But for now, let's go over to Andre Sr. and look at our viewer poll of the day.
It's called home and food. That's the allowance my parents would say.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. It's the toothpaste I bought for you.
Yeah, exactly. All right. The question is this morning, we're asking how much do you think kids should get an allowance each week? We've got lots of options here for you, but right now, $10, 72% of you say $10 a month, and 7% of you say $20 a month. 20% say none, which is what my parents would have said. Go to ktv.com/vote. Let us know what you think about it. Question of the day.
Mom didn't want to give you any money?
You didn't get any
We didn't
allowance?
get allowance. No.
So what did you do if you wanted to go to the movies or something?
We would just have to ask.
So it was like
it was a case-by-case basis.
Yeah. Okay.
Judgments made.
Right.
In the
Can
moment.
I guess you went to your mom and not your dad? Each child knows. Yes,
We hear
okay.
you. Well, as we go to break, you can start voting on this now. One more look at the poll. You can scan the QR code in the top right-hand corner of your screen. It'll take you to our poll.
Some stories we're following here at 7:44. Teachers in the West Contra Costa Unified School District are among those getting ready to strike if they can't get a deal. If teachers and other workers go on strike tomorrow, students can still be dropped off at school. They'll still have access to school meals, and bus and transportation services will remain unchanged. The teachers union says the educators are underpaid compared to other districts in Contra Costa County. A vigil in Stockton planned for tonight to honor the 4 people killed last weekend in a mass shooting there. The 2 youngest victims, both 8 years old, have now been identified, Maya Lupain and Journey Guerrero. 3 of the 4 who died were children. 11 other people are hospitalized. Investigators are still looking for those responsible. The Berkeley Fire Department's mourning the unexpected death of one of its members. It says Fire Captain Scott Hall died at home last Friday. He was 56 years old. He'd been a Berkeley firefighter for 33 years. Officials have not released any details on his cause of death. A teenage suspect is... We're going to take a quick peek at the opening bell. We had this for you live at 6:30, and now the session has been underway for just more than an hour. Let's see what's happening on the markets. If we can pull up the numbers on the Dow, we see that we are off to a pretty decent start. A little dip at the beginning, and now we're on the plus side of things, gaining 160 points, up about 1/3 of 1%. That percentage gain is not quite as, oh no, it is better, in fact, than what I'm seeing over on the S&P and NASDAQ. Small moves to start the session. New this morning, Macy's beat Wall Street expectations, posting its strongest growth in more than 3 years. Posted more than $4.7 billion in revenue in the third quarter, about $100 million more than what was expected. It's the third quarter in a row the company beat out expectations. The retailer is now raising its full year sales and earnings outlook, but Macy's says it still affects selective consumer spending. I love that phrase, selective consumer spending, and higher tariffs will continue to challenge growth during the holiday quarter.
Our time now 7:46. Well, Disneyland is giving guests a chance to visit their parks for a major discount in the new year. The new limited time deal offers a 3-day park hopper ticket for just $250. That's just for California residents. The discount breaks down to $83 per day to go to both Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure. That's more than 50% off the regular park rates, and it's valid for use between January 1st and May 21st. A second deal, which is not limited to California residents, slashes 1-day park hopper tickets to just $50 for children age 3 to 9. That begins January 21st. Well, Uber is launching robo-taxis in Dallas, Texas, beginning today. Uber users in Dallas may now be matched with an autonomous vehicle at no extra cost. Riders will have a chance to accept or switch to a non-autonomous ride. Now, to begin, a backup driver will be behind the wheel before the fully driverless operations begin. Uber plans to launch robo-taxis here in the Bay Area, as well as other major cities all over the world during the next year or 2.
The city of San Francisco is taking aim at the makers of ultra-processed foods such as chips and sugary drinks, as well as frozen meals and even some foods that are marketed as being healthy. City Attorney David Chu has filed what he calls a first-of-its-kind lawsuit against 10 major companies, including Kraft Heinz, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, General Mills, Nestle. The city's accusing the companies of deceptive marketing and violating California's competition and advertising laws. Chu argues processed food is harming people's health.
We know is that there is an entire category of foods that represent 70% of the American food supply that is making the public sick. These companies know their products are harming people, but they continue to design, market, and profit off them, particularly at the expense of our kids.
The lawsuit is asking the companies to help local governments offset the health care costs associated with ultra-processed food consumption. Food law experts say there's growing evidence to support those claims.
There is data coming out now. We saw just last week several studies released in The Lancet showing this kind of data connecting ultra-processed foods to health impacts.
Some of the alleged health impacts include type 2 diabetes, heart disease, colon cancer. So far, none of the companies targeted in the suit has commented.
All right, time is 7:49. Let's see what that commute is doing now. Here's Sal with the latest.
I'd say it's being a very typical commute. Not a lot of problems, which is good. So if you drive every day, you don't have anything unusual out there. Let's go right to the Bay Bridge. Still a pretty significant delay here. It usually starts getting better a little later in the morning, like 8:30 or so, but right now we still have full strength there. We also do have the East Bay commute. Highway 4 continues to be pretty slow this morning from Summersville Road, 680 Concord to Walnut Creek. And unfortunately, southbound 680, as you come across the Benicia Bridge, there's a crash right when you get to the other side. So if you're coming in through Martinez into Concord, you're going to see some slow traffic. 7:49, let's talk about today's weather. Here's Roberta.
I was wondering, it's a little slow around Highway 4 if that's due to some areas of fog.
Oh, let's see.
Can you see?
I do see, I do see, we have a camera there.
Oh, okay.
I didn't put it up, but it doesn't seem like it's foggy there, at least in Concord.
I believe the winds are picking up there as well.
Got it.
So when the winds are picking up, then it's scouring out the areas of fog. Let me show you just how breezy it is around the Bay Area right here, right now. Fairfield, wind gusts up to 26 miles per hour. Santa Rosa at 15. Otherwise, the closer you get to the Central Bay, the winds appear to be calm or even under 10 miles per hour. Along the seashore, we do have an onshore push actually at 7. Otherwise, it is an offshore flow, and we are revealing this right now. Gusty winds to 24 miles per hour in throughout the Caldecott Tunnel, and the relative humidity has been dropping off. It's going to be a dry day with low humidity with that offshore push, but the pressure gradient is causing the winds to increase. Right now, 26 mile per hour wind gusts at Mount Veeder to the north. How about 24 in the Oakland Hills? And Santa Cruz Mountains, you've been gusty this morning as well. As we take a look at our wind forecast, this morning and mid-morning is when we're going to see the gustiest winds. Then everything will begin to flatten out. But the winds do clear us out, and boy, put your hands together and just give a round of applause to that. The city by the bay, the Salesforce Tower standing beautifully at 1,000 feet. No clouds below that. We've got ourselves the makings of a good-looking late autumn day. Temperature 37 degrees with the fog in Novato. Visibility now 1 mile there. High 30s in Fremont, Milpitas, backing through Union City. Then we jump up to 44 and throughout the Tri-Valley. How about 40s around the peninsula? This area of high pressure right here is causing the jet stream to veer more to the north. We have lots of rain and snow in throughout the Pacific Northwest. We've got that pressure gradient taking that inside slider route. That causes the pressure gradient. That's why the stronger winds. Temperatures today 60 to 64 degrees. Your extended forecast pretty stagnant each and every day through the weekend. Dave?
All right, Roberta, thank you. Time now 7:52. As legal battles over SNAP benefits increase, the White House has a new plan that could affect states led by Democrats. Up next today, how people who get SNAP benefits could be affected if their leaders don't comply. And a Bay Area icon is dead. The latest on the story of Claude, the albino alligator. And KTVU's annual One Warm Coat Drive is underway. You can help make sure people in need stay warm this winter. If you're able to donate a new or gently worn coat, scan the QR code right there on your screen or go to KTVU.com and see a list of participating drop-off locations. The One Warm Coat Drive continues until December 14th. Welcome back to Mornings on 2. Our time is 7:55, and we're talking about him. The city of San Francisco has lost one of its most beloved animal residents. That's Claude, the albino alligator at the California Academy of Sciences. He has died. KTVU's Zach Zoss tells us Claude became a must-see for many California visitors.
Pretty sad. It's sad. My son is 17, and I remember coming for the first time.
As news spread Tuesday about the death of San Francisco's beloved albino alligator Claude, Monica and her daughter arriving to say a final farewell.
Do we miss Claude?
I want Claude.
The California Academy of Sciences' most famous resident, dead at 30.
Claude's like the fog. Everybody knows who Claude is.
Monica, part of another mother-daughter duo, stopping by to say so long.
We always wear this hat when we come to Cal Academy.
The rare reptile, so iconic that her daughter asked for a Claude costume for Halloween.
So my wife and I sewed a hat and made some stuff, and she was Claude.
He first swam his way into the hearts of San Franciscans 17 years ago.
My husband actually worked there when he arrived. So he came home and told us about him, so we're very excited to come see him in person.
Hatched in Louisiana in September 1995, Claude spent his first 13 years at a Florida zoo before arriving in the Bay Area, his popularity quickly exploding, leading to a dedicated Claude cam to stream his every waddle.
He liked to just hang out and be really still, but occasionally you'd catch a magical surprise and you'd see him swimming around, and it was sort of magical.
His coloring so unusual that at first some actually thought he wasn't real at all.
There was a big conspiracy that he was animatronic, but no, he was totally living, and we saw him last summer moving around.
Happy doing what gators do, hunting, chomping, or simply staring, and just a few months ago celebrating a milestone as the longest living albino alligator in the world.
That was a very sad loss. We were just here celebrating his 30th birthday. Always get to see him, and he's such a mainstay in the museum for such a long time. So yeah, it's very sad.
And the California Academy of Sciences say they plan to hold a public celebration of life for Claude, but a date has yet to be set. In San Francisco, Zach Zoss, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Zach, thank you. It's 7:58. Well, Cal reportedly close to bringing a former Golden Bear back to coach the football team. Several reports say Cal's expected to hire the current Oregon defensive coordinator, Tosh Lupoy, who grew up here in the Bay Area, starred at De La Salle, and played at Cal between the year 2000 and 2005 before joining the coaching staff. Lupoy is widely considered one of college football's best recruiters. He served 5 years under Nick Saban at Alabama and was a defensive line coach in the NFL. Well, Stanford is turning to an alumnus to coach its football team.
And it is now my honor and privilege to introduce the 37th head football coach in Stanford history, the Bradford M. Freeman Director of Football, Tavita Pritchard.
That was Stanford General Manager Andrew Luck announcing the hiring of Tavita Pritchard. He was the quarterbacks coach for the Washington Commanders. Ironically, Pritchard was the starting quarterback at Stanford before he lost the job to Andrew Luck. Luck says he interviewed about 30 candidates before selecting Pritchard.
Well, the teen accused of a Black Friday shooting in a South Bay shopping mall scheduled to appear in court today. What we expect to learn during the hearing from the county staff prosecutor. Data or dollars, a new bold request by the Trump administration, the critical decision ahead for blue states, while food assistance hangs in the balance for millions of Americans. As raids intensify in blue cities, President Trump unleashes new claims against Somali immigrants, while Democratic leaders say he is simply spreading hostile rhetoric.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Welcome to Mornings on 2 at 8 o'clock. A live look at the San Francisco skyline and the Bay Bridge. You can see the sun is out this morning. The cold weather does continue, though. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andre Sr.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, December 3rd. I'm Gassia Mikaelian. A little bit of sun behind us on the Oakland estuary. This was like fogged out for the past couple of mornings. So, Roberta Gonzalez, we are happier for the slightly brighter weather.
And when the fog dispersed yesterday, did you get a glimpse of that sunset last night?
Oh, yes. Gorgeous.
Pink and purple. It was beautiful.
Purple. We have pink and purple out there, and you'll get a repeat performance again tonight. Hi, everybody. But what you will notice heading out the door this morning are the gusty winds in some locations. And right now, that location happens to be Fairfield at 20-mile-per-hour winds. Santa Rosa, you've died down. You've been up to 15 and 18-mile-per-hour winds. And otherwise, everyone else is under 10. But where we do not have the wind, we do have some areas of fog. And the higher elevations, anywhere between about 24, 26-mile-per-hour winds have been noted from the North Bay through the Oakland Hills all the way into the Santa Clara Valley. Now, the winds will begin to lighten up this afternoon, but from this morning through mid-morning, it's a double white knuckler in the higher elevations of our Bay bridges. Wow! Look at the calm. Now, why isn't it ever like that when I want to swim from Alcatraz? It always feels like a washing machine when I'm out there. That is just glorious. 45 in the city and across the bay in Oakland. 55 in Santa Rosa. How about that? 51 in San Jose. Later today, we're all in the 60s. Got you covered with the full forecast in a matter of minutes right now to get you out on the roadway safely. Here's Sal Castaneda. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Roberta. Yeah, you know, the Richmond Bridge is looking good. There's no sign of fog there, and it's not particularly windy. This is a look at the Richmond Bridge traffic. It's just about normal. Same thing with the East Shore Freeway and also the Bay Bridge toll plaza. So we do have a typical delay. This has been the most typical day of the week. We have the slowdowns where you would expect. Not a lot of crashes out there, just a few. 8:01, let's go back to the headlines.
Sal, thank you. Happening this morning, Santa Clara County's DA will announce if he is going to prosecute a teenage shooting suspect as an adult.
Police arrested a 17-year-old after 3 people were hurt in a shooting inside the Valley Fair Mall on Black Friday. KTVU's James Torres is live in San Jose with what we expect today. James.
And good morning to you both. In just about a half hour from now, we'll enter the juvenile hall courtroom and hear some of the prosecutors speaking in front of a judge, depending on what they decide to do today, potentially moving to try to prosecute that 17-year-old suspect as an adult. And that's because prosecutors say, for the most part, they are limited in what they can do depending on how they can move forward in court. Here's what we do know. For starters, of course, because this suspect is a minor, we don't even know his name yet at this point. We know San Jose officers arrested him about 2 days after a shooting on Black Friday at the Valley Fair Mall. That's when police said the 17-year-old suspected gang member entered the mall with a woman pushing a baby in a stroller. Officers say that group confronted a rival gang group, and they began firing shots. The bullets hit the suspect's intended target, as well as a teenage girl and an adult woman caught in the crossfire. They are expected to be okay. But police say they know this kid, that he's been accused of running away from officers before, specifically officers from the gang unit, back in February while holding a loaded gun. His punishment then was a deferred judgment program, and he was put on a probation plan, part of Proposition 57 passed by voters in 2016. Earlier this week, we heard the frustration from San Jose Police Chief Paul Joseph, who says that kind of consequence is not enough to stop gun violence.
I'm not sure what it will take for well-intended lawmakers to wake up and realize that gun violence should never have been lumped in with nonviolent property crimes in California's efforts to reform our system.
The chief also referenced a 13-year-old murder suspect accused of stabbing another teenager at Santana Row. Under California law, anyone under the age of 14 can never be tried as an adult. The chief says his punishment was that equivalent of someone who stole a car rather than someone who took a life. The teen suspect in the Valley Fair Mall shooting will enter court. It's set to start about 8:30 this morning. We expect to hear from the district attorney immediately after. If the DA moves to try the suspect as an adult, a judge would have the final say. We're live this morning in San Jose. I'm James Torres, KTVU Fox 2 News.
James, thank you. It is 4 minutes after 8 right now. San Francisco police say one person is now in custody after a shooting at Burton High School. Gunshots rang out around noon yesterday at the school's campus in the Portola neighborhood. It prompted a school lockdown. There are reports that a student was shot in the leg but is expected to be okay. We talked with one student who says he heard about the shooting when a friend received a notification on his phone.
I was in class, and then my friend got a citizen notice, right? Someone got shot, and then it got disapproved, so we thought it was fake. And then I turned over, and I saw the cops coming.
Police made the arrest about a mile away from the school within hours of the shooting. It's still not clear if that person is a student at Burton High School. President Donald Trump launched verbal attacks against Somali-born Americans during a cabinet meeting with his advisors. The president said he doesn't want Somali immigrants in the U.S. He called out by name Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, calling her and the community, quote, garbage. According to the New York Times, the administration is launching a new ICE operation targeting Somali immigrants in Minnesota. State leaders spoke out against the president's remarks.
Minneapolis is proud to be home to the largest Somali community in the entire country. They benefit both the culture and the economic resilience of our city.
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks.
The president has significantly stepped up his anti-immigrant stance after the shooting of 2 National Guard members in Washington by an Afghan national.
Pope Leo XIV is urging the United States to seek dialogue instead of pursuing a military intervention in Venezuela. The Pope expressed concern of an invasion and recommended economic pressure as an alternative path to change during a return home flight from his trip overseas. He also warned of the dangers of a military operation, which he noted could cause widespread and unnecessary suffering among the Venezuelan people. Happening today, the 2025 Deal Book Summit, a day of interviews with some of the world's biggest newsmakers. This year's summit in New York City will talk about the impact of AI, the rise of private credit, cryptocurrency, and the impact of tariffs. The Treasury Secretary, the Chief Executive of Turning Point USA, Governor Newsom, and the President of Taiwan among those expected to attend. Last year's summit featured former President Bill Clinton, Sam Altman, and Jeff Bezos, and focused on what would happen during President Trump's second term.
Time is 8:07, and we've been looking at the East Bay. I want to put up a general map first, and then we can dive in. The East Bay map is slow. We have some slow traffic from Bernal down to Andrade on 680, and Interstate 880 is now getting a little bit better, not a lot, but things are improving. Now, if you're driving on the peninsula, I do want to mention that northbound 101 and southbound 101 near Whipple are slow. There's a crash southbound 101 near Whipple. We have backup now from Highway 92, so if you want to use 280 instead, 280 is a better drive down the peninsula at this point than 101. Let's quickly check on the Bay Bridge. I always keep looking in this hour to see if there's improvement. Not quite yet. Still about a 20 to 25 minute delay before you make it onto the span. It's 8:08. Let's go back to the desk.
Well, thanks, Sal. New criticism of self-driving cars in San Francisco. The animal hit and killed in one neighborhood, and why it's refreshing a memory from just a few weeks ago.
As legal battles rage over SNAP, the government is out with a new request. What it could mean for states if they don't comply with the demand to hand over sensitive data.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes, your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
SNAP benefits for millions of Americans are hanging in the balance as the USDA threatens to cut off food assistance funding to more than 20 Democratic-led states in a showdown over sensitive personal data. The fight pits state privacy concerns against a federal push to root out what the Trump administration calls waste, fraud, and abuse. If blue states don't comply, SNAP benefits for over 42 million Americans could be on the line. Most in the program are at or below the poverty line and in households that include children, seniors, or someone with a disability. This all comes as new rules are now in effect for SNAP beneficiaries that mean more people will have to work or volunteer in order to get benefits. Let's get some insight by turning to Gina Platanino, SNAP Director at the Food Research and Action Center. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins promising big changes to SNAP says all the attention during the recent government shutdown has given the government a platform to completely deconstruct the program, in her words. What does that mean to you?
It means that they're posturing. It's a lot of propaganda in terms of them not taking responsibility that for the first time in history, SNAP benefits did not go out in time. SNAP is the most regulated program that we have in the federal government. So it's just really, it's not surprising that the secretary is saying this considering their actions in November.
President Trump says he will withhold SNAP benefits for people in California if officials don't hand over potentially sensitive data such as the names and immigration status of recipients. The Agriculture Secretary says data revealed by 29 states recently showed 186,000 people who've died are still receiving food aid and some 356,000 duplicate enrollments. Do you agree with the mission of ending fraud and abuse?
Absolutely. The biggest fraud that we have in SNAP is something called skimming, where we have criminals stealing the benefits of individuals who rely on these benefits. But in terms of the data that you just mentioned, it hasn't been validated, and we don't know where those numbers are coming from, which it really doesn't capture what states are reporting.
So other than going after criminals who are skimming, how does the country make sure that people who are receiving the benefits should be receiving the benefits?
SNAP is the most regulated program that we have in terms of quality control. Individuals have to fill out an application that is quite lengthy, providing information. Once they submit that application, they have to do an interview. Once they do an interview, they have to submit a verification. Once they do that and their case is adjusted, they have to do ongoing reviews to ensure that the information hasn't changed. All of this is validated, checking Social Security numbers, checking employment numbers, and that information is collected by the state agency to see if there are any changes.
So what's falling apart then if the federal government says almost 200,000 people who've died are still receiving aid?
That information hasn't been validated. We don't know where those numbers have come from, as USDA has refused to say where they're coming with this information. We don't necessarily think that that is true, considering the 60 plus years that USDA has been operating this program with state agencies. That data is not accurate. So it'll be interesting to see if the USDA actually releases where they're getting this information.
Do you think there's anyone who's receiving benefits who shouldn't be?
The way that it works is that individuals cannot receive benefits if they are getting benefits elsewhere. They have to close the case. So sometimes it may appear, but like I said, there are so many ways that state agencies are constantly monitoring this, both automatically and physically, in terms of coming out with individuals who are getting benefits. It automatically flags it for them to ensure that the program is operating correctly.
I imagine this recent threat by the president to withhold aid for California may put those who are receiving aid and rightfully receiving that aid in a precarious position.
Well, it's not new, right? So this stems out from an executive order that the president issued out in February that he wanted more data into these programs, and USDA went ahead and issued this request, which was, again, unprecedented because they already have systems in place to be able to do this. There was two lawsuits, one a private lawsuit and another one for state agencies. There is currently an injunction, a hold on this, where the judge says that USDA cannot do this at the moment. We know that they're going back to court next week from the new request that USDA made in November, saying that they needed to again submit this data.
If you had the governor's ear, would you suggest that the state not reveal this data, even if it means people lose their benefits?
They are 3 different levels of laws currently protecting this information. USDA has been sending the information that they need. There's no guarantee that the federal government has a place to really capture sensitive data. It's millions of individuals, and to have state agencies go through all of this work at a time where, due to the administration's inaction, they had to scramble to try to issue benefits on time and then recalculate benefits. It's just administrative burden. And how can you trust an administration that, you know, the 95-year-old's information that is being sent over is going to be safe? There's no guarantee that the administration will keep this information safe, including social security number, date of birth, anything that could be causing for identity theft. And this is everyone, and it's millions of cases. So it's, you know, we teach individuals to hold your information and share it. And the way that states have traditionally sent it is, you know, they send it in a way that is private and secure. What the administration is requiring, again, it's unprecedented in the last 60 years.
Okay, we'll watch what happens. Gina Platanino, that's the time we have for the topic at this point. Thank you so much for joining us from the Director of Food Research Action. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
At 8:17, other stories we're following for you this morning. We're still waiting for details on the cause of a multi-vehicle crash on Highway 87 in San Jose that killed 2 people, including a child. Police say 2 Teslas, a Lexus, and Toyota collided. An adult and a child inside the Lexus were killed. The impact sparked a fire that burned several vehicles. Northbound Highway 87 was closed for about 5 hours. A Waymo robotaxi struck and killed a dog in San Francisco over the weekend. Waymo says the crash on Sunday night happened at Scott and Eddy Streets in the Western Addition neighborhood with passenger in the vehicle at the time. It comes just a few weeks after a cat was killed by a Waymo vehicle in the Mission, which led to a protest by people concerned over the safety of self-driving cars. Teachers in the West Contra Costa Unified School District getting ready to strike if they cannot reach a deal. If it happens tomorrow, students can still be dropped off at school and will still have access to school meals. Bus and transportation services will remain unchanged. The teachers union says the educators are underpaid compared to other districts in Contra Costa County.
It is 8:18, and right now we don't. Oops, what is my phone doing? Jeez, all right. Thank you. Let's go out and take a look at the Bay Bridge. Don't applause at Dave like that. Dave's laughing over there. Can I get the Dave Clark clap?
Yeah, I got a clap for you.
All right, thank you. It's backed up to the MacArthur Maze, and the metering lights are on here. There have been no major problems. It's been kind of a quiet commute. We like it. Not light, quiet. We haven't had a lot of major accidents out there. We've had a couple of. You can see traffic is a little bit slow on 880 and on the Fremont commute and 680 through Pleasanton. Now at 8:19, let's talk about the weather. Here's Roberta.
Our phones are always listening.
Are they?
Oh, you don't find that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just not listening. Our phones listen, but you're not listening. Hi, everybody. The last time we've had any rain here in the Bay Area, you have to go back to November 20th, and that is a 13-day dry stretch. We're in desperate need of some rain showers now, and right now, one of my computer models are alluding to maybe December 13th, but that's too far off, and it's a one-day event, so we'll just keep going with this right here. Isn't this beautiful? Where the wind is not blowing, the water is flat. That's looking out towards Alcatraz this morning. Water temperature is 57 degrees. Onshore, we go to 45 in the city and across the bay to Alameda and into Oakland. It's still 37 degrees in Nevada, 1 mile visibility due to fog. We're now up to 40 in Fremont and in Walnut Creek after dropping into the high 30s. It's 46 degrees in Palo Alto. Winds in Fairfield are 20. We've had gusts up to 26. Santa Rosa winds are kind of flattening at this hour. Calm in Mountain View, but the gustiest winds will be with us this morning and through the mid-morning hours before dialing back. Right now, we do have a 24-mile-per-hour wind gust at the Caldecott Tunnel. So where you see the gray shaded area, this is the last day this week, at least it should be, for the beach hazard statement in effect along our local seashore all the way up into about the Mendocino area. Coastal flood advisory is in effect until Sunday. We have high tide today at 9:04 at 7 feet, and that's about a foot above average. So you will see some lapping of water on shore in those local marshes and around the Ferry Building in San Francisco. This area of low pressure up and around the ridge of high pressure. We do have that area of low pressure. That's an inside side slider gracefully sliding to the south. As it does so, it's causing a pressure gradient between the two elements, therefore friction and winds. But those winds will be lighter this afternoon. Temperature-wise, 60 to 64 degrees. Your extended forecast, it's dry each and every day through Sunday. Andre?
Roberta, thank you so much. This year's Spotify's Wrapped is bigger and bolder. Think albums, audiobooks, and deep listening stories. The top streamed artists that took a win this year. It is 8:24 new this morning. It's that time of the year for Spotify users. When you launch the app today, you can check out your listening habits for 2025. Spotify Wrapped tells you the artists, songs, and podcasts you spent the most time listening to this year. It also allows Spotify to rank everything. Joe Rogan's podcast is #1 for the 5th straight year. Taylor Swift was the most listened to artist in the U.S., while Bad Bunny topped the charts globally. And don't forget about K-pop Demon Hunters. It was the #2 album streamed globally.
TikTok will invest more than $37 billion in building a data center in Brazil. It would be the first in Latin America. TikTok says the center will fully rely on clean energy. Construction could start in the next 4 months. Disneyland is giving guests a chance to visit their parks for a major discount in 2026. The new limited time deal offers a 3-day park hopper ticket for $250. Only for California residents. That works out to $83 a day to visit both Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. It's more than half off the regular park rate, and it's valid for use between January 1st and May 21st, again, only for Californians. Now, there's a second deal, this one not limited to state residents. It offers a 1-day park hopper ticket at $50 for children ages 3 to 9. That deal starts on January 21st.
All right, so do you have someone on your gift list who already has everything or says they don't want a present? Well, gift cards are always an easy, safe bet, but we asked some experts for other creative gift ideas for the people in your life who are the hardest to shop for. Top picks include a foldable electric bike under $1,000, a robot lawnmower that knows to avoid items on your lawn using a camera, and a solid projector with no ceiling mount needed.
If this is your favorite game from the arcade, how about bringing it home? It's the ESPN Pro Competition LED two-player arcade basketball game. It's $149, so a lot of bang for the buck here.
Other ideas include finding a gift they would normally never buy themselves but have always wanted. Homemade gifts or gifts centering on memories or pictures can also be a good choice.
8:26, FIFA in the hot seat this morning over a peace prize it's set to hand off this week. Why the move is being questioned by Human Rights Watch. A teacher strike looming in West Contra Costa County. The demands from educators and school staff ahead of a planned walkout tomorrow and what parents need to know about what the school day could look like. Then visa suspensions, travel bans, some of the sweeping changes by the Trump administration following a deadly shooting by an Afghan national. We'll talk with an attorney about the impact of new immigration directives.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Gassia Mikaelian.
I'm Andre Sr. It is Wednesday, December 3rd. If you don't see sun yet, you'll likely see it at some point today as the fog clears out. Roberta Gonzalez is here with more on that.
Winter officially arrives on December 21st, but it's been feeling cold like winter, hasn't it? But this morning it's a little bit more mild depending on where you are. It's all because of the wind that has been ushering the fog out of the area. Right now, Fairfield with the wind up to 20 miles per hour. Otherwise, everybody's pretty flat at this hour. Winds will increase and then dial back down this afternoon. I've been monitoring the North Bay, the Oakland Hills, and also the Santa Cruz Mountains, where wind gusts have been anywhere between about 24 and 26 miles per hour. Now, as the winds do blow today, again, later this afternoon, they will flatten, and tomorrow, same story. And look how calm the waters are out towards Alcatraz. No wind in the city where it's 46 degrees. Where there is wind, the temperatures in the mid-50s in Fairfield and in Santa Rosa. How about Moneta International? International Airport at 51 degrees. It is now 42 in Walnut Creek, climbing to a high today in the low 60s. 60 to 64, few passing clouds, very dry as the humidity drops. We'll have more on your local forecast, but right now, Sal Castaneda, where is the busiest spot? Is it, let me think, 580?
Let's see, 580 is not a bad guess.
Okay.
Actually, you kind of know what you're talking about when it comes to that. Yes, you do. 580 to where you drive through right now, Livermore to Dublin, is not bad, but 580 is pretty slow just out of San Leandro, driving past Highway 13. Westbound 580 at Highway 13, there was a crash there, and that had slowed traffic. And Highway 13 itself is very slow. So right on there with that, Roberta. Northbound 880 is not an alternate. Look how slow that is. Basically from 238 all the way up into downtown Oakland, it's very slow. And if you're going as far as the Bay Bridge, that is backed up all the way out to the May. So we're not seeing too much improvement on these commutes just yet, but stay tuned. 8:32, let's get back to the desk.
Sal, thank you. Some 3,000 teachers and other staff members of the West Contra Costa Unified School District say they're prepared to go on strike tomorrow.
Ali Rasmus is live to explain why the members of two separate unions in the district plan to walk the picket lines. Ali?
Well, the school day has just begun at Lupine Hills Elementary in Hercules. This is one of the schools in the West Contra Costa Unified School District. And as you mentioned, teachers and staff members, about 3,000 workers total, plan to go on strike here tomorrow. That's tomorrow morning. But before the bell rang earlier this morning, some of the teachers out here were outside the school campus talking to families and students about the strike that they plan to start tomorrow. And at the center of that labor dispute for the teachers is pay. Teachers have asked for a 5% increase in salaries. The district has offered them 3%, which is the amount a state-appointed mediator recommended. West Contra Costa Unified is facing a $17 million budget deficit. The teachers union says educators in this district are severely underpaid compared to other districts here in the Bay Area. And they say the district has the funds and just needs to prioritize where that money is going to and prioritize it towards teacher salaries instead of other things.
A lot of teachers are leaving this district in particular and moving to other districts within the Bay Area because they offer more. So I think that West Contra Costa County has to be more competitive.
We are struggling to get by. We have student loans that we're still trying to pay off.
Now, West Contra Costa Unified administrators didn't respond to KTVU's request for an interview, but their superintendent did post a message on the district's webpage, and in it she mentions the district's budget constraints. As for the 1,500 workers, the district represented by the Teamsters Union, they are staff members who work in food service, maintenance, paraprofessional, security. They were also asking for an 8% increase in pay. The district offered them 3%, but in a vote yesterday, those staff members with the Teamsters Union rejected a tentative agreement. So now they will also be going on strike tomorrow morning here in Richmond. Now, during the strike, the school district says that they will still have all of their campuses and schools open. Kids can still be dropped off at those campuses, and students will still have access to all the school meals. But again, teachers and other staff members won't be in the classrooms. They'll be on the picket line starting tomorrow morning. Live in Hercules, Ali Rasmus, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Ali, thank you so much. In the wake of a deadly shooting near the White House by an Afghan immigrant, the Trump administration abruptly froze visas and processing for Afghan nationals. It's prompting calls from DHS Secretary Kristi Noem for a sweeping travel ban. Most recently, President Trump raised anti-immigrant claims against Somali immigrants. Critics warn the shift could deepen divisions and possibly violate basic principles of equal protection. To break down the new policies, including the pause to all immigration applications from 19 countries banned from travel to the U.S., is immigration attorney Miriam Wassami Dowd. Thank you so much for joining us, Miriam.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so first of all, this is definitely racially motivated here, as the president has indicated in his speeches. Is this normal? Can you ban people based on race in the countries they come from coming to the U.S. based on the current laws on the books?
Well, the president does have broad authority to restrict certain classes of people from the United States, and that's an authority that's given to him by Section 212F of the Immigration Nationality Act. However, the courts have said that that power is not limitless, and we have seen it tested during the first Trump administration where a Muslim travel ban was enacted, and the first two versions of that ban were shut down because it was clear that the ban was racially motivated. So a president cannot restrict immigration solely for the basis of race.
So right now, the DHS secretary has not said yet which countries will be on this list of 19 countries. Immediately after hearing what the DHS secretary, Christian Elm, said, what were your first thoughts as an immigration attorney?
Well, I'm personally, I'm an Afghan-American immigration attorney who serves Afghan-Americans as well as many nationals who are on the list of countries that this administration has targeted. And it's extremely shocking and surprising and very dangerous because it should not have any room in our immigration system. And it's very clear and open now that this administration is not about necessarily national security, but about stopping immigration altogether because it's clear that they don't want immigrants in the United States.
The Trump administration said on Friday that it was halting all asylum decisions in the wake of the National Guard shootings in Washington, D.C. What does that mean? Is it just will only this apply to people that were in a similar position as the alleged shooter was, in which he worked with some U.S. forces in Afghanistan and was granted that? Or does this apply to all people seeking some sort of a similar asylum decision here in the United States?
The administration has paused asylum processing for all pending applications, regardless of where the person is from. So this ban is nationwide on all applications. And this is also something that is very troubling because it puts people in legal limbo and certainly does not prevent ICE from removal enforcement, even with pending asylum cases. And in addition to that, they've also stopped all immigration benefits requests for people from the 19 countries on the travel ban list, which include Afghanistan, Venezuela, Haiti, Iran, and others. So what we've seen is a major restriction and limitation on the adjudications process of pending immigration cases.
So with the threat of ICE enforcement in the United States continues in many cities and states across the country, what would your advice be to a client that came to you that had this fear of being deported based on what has just happened recently within the Trump administration?
Well, every case certainly depends on the individual facts, but the most important thing is staying in touch with your attorney and getting advice on your specific case, and also making sure that your address is up to date with your counsel as well as with immigration, because if you get a notice from the immigration agency which requires you to appear somewhere, it's very important to make sure that you're aware of that and you don't miss immigration hearings or court appearances or any other interviews that might take place. And it's also important to keep your case documents on you as well in the event that you are stopped by ICE, and also be aware of your rights. There's a lot of Know Your Rights information online and Know Your Rights information through various legal advocacy organizations that you could take advantage of so that you're armed with information should you ever come across an ICE official or have such an encounter.
All right, immigration attorney Mariam Lassumi Dowd, thank you so much for joining us this morning and providing your insight.
Thank you again for having me.
8:39, new this morning. FIFA says it'll award a peace prize during the World Cup next year. Now, NCAA and other human rights leaders are speaking out against the prize. FIFA leaders say the prize will be awarded on Friday. Critics, though, say the award was just created for President Trump. The announcement of the prize also comes as a surprise to many leaders on FIFA's council who were not notified about its creation. Some are concerned that 2026 World Cup will be weaponized for political motives.
The U.S., Canada, and Mexico World Cup was supposed to be a game changer for human rights. The first World Cup ever with a human rights strategy. Today, we are going to hear whether those promises are being delivered. That prize has no transparent process, no nominees, no judges, and was, by the way, apparently news to the FIFA Council, which is the governing body of FIFA.
Critics say they fear the award will be given to President Trump in part because of the FIFA president's close relationship with him.
A fresh economic forecast is out, what it says about a financial soft patch and when it's expected to rebound.
The average allowance is about $50 a month or more these days, according to a new survey. Most parents say the goal here is to teach real-world money skills to their children before they grow up and leave the house. We will get deep into this on the 9. This morning, though, you have been responding to our question of what do you think is the proper allowance per week for a child? Look, 38% of you say none, no allowance at all. We go to $10 to find the next largest group. That's 30% of you, and then you can see the rest of responses. Who's getting $50 or more a week? That's what I want to know. The 6% supporting that. You can head out to KTVU.com/vote. Let us know what you think the kids should be getting. We'll be back. This morning, Santa Clara County's DA will announce if he'll try to prosecute a teenage shooting suspect as an adult. Police arrested a 17-year-old after 3 people were hurt in a shooting inside Valley Fair Mall on Black Friday. The suspect was sent to Eder Court at 8:30 today. We expect to hear from the DA immediately after the hearing. If he moves to try the teen as an adult, a judge would have the final say.
One person is now in custody after a shooting in San Francisco at Burton High School. It started after noontime yesterday on that campus in the Portola neighborhood. The school went immediately into lockdown after the shooting. There are reports that a student was shot in the leg but is expected to be okay. It's still not clear if the suspect is a student at the school.
Convicted drug trafficker and former Honduran president Juan Orlando Hernandez has been released from federal prison after receiving a full pardon from President Trump. This marks the end of his 45-year drug trafficking sentence. He was sentenced for helping import 400 tons of cocaine into this country. According to Honduran officials, he could still face corruption-related charges back at home. Here at home cleanup is set to get underway today after an AC Transit bus ran into an Oakland body shop in East Oakland.
Yeah, workers at that shop say they shattered the windows of the bus and pulled several people from the wreckage. This happened at Foothill Boulevard and 68th Avenue shortly before 1:15 yesterday afternoon. AC Transit says the bus collided with an SUV at the intersection. The bus driver then lost control before slamming into the building. 11 people on board were hurt, including a woman with a baby and a toddler.
was bashing his window and the guy was kicking his window out. It was crazy because it was very shocking because people was in there was panicking, crying, and it was babies and stuff like that. So it was very scary though.
No one inside the building was injured, but in the SUV, 2 people were hurt, and AC Transit says no one in the vehicle suffered significant injuries. Investigators now trying to determine who caused the initial collision.
Is video on board, and that video, we're trying to determine if that video can be downloaded. There's pretty significant damage to the front of the bus. There are also some other buses in the area, so we're going to collect as much video as possible.
The Oakland Police Department is leading the investigation of this crash. They say at this point it is unknown if drugs or alcohol played a role.
The Trump administration is threatening to withhold SNAP food aid from recipients in 21 Democratic-controlled states, including ours, over alleged data noncompliance. U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins threatened to cut off federal funding unless those states provide the names and immigration status of aid recipients. She said the cooperation is necessary in order to root out fraud in the program.
We've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off.
This comes as new rules are now in effect for SNAP beneficiaries. California is one of more than a dozen states suing over the USDA's threat. Attorney General Rob Bonta accuses the Trump administration of illegally restricting those who could qualify for SNAP benefits.
Millions of individuals, and to have state agencies go through all of this work at a time where, due to the administration's inaction, they had to scramble to try to issue benefits on time and then recalculate benefits. It's just administrative burden.
SNAP benefits for more than 42 million Americans could be on the line. Most of the program are at or below the poverty line and in households that include children, seniors, or someone with a disability. The city of San Francisco is taking aim at the makers of ultra-processed foods such as chips and sugary drinks, as well as frozen meals and even some foods that are marketed as healthy. City Attorney David Chu has filed what he calls a first-of-its-kind lawsuit against 10 major companies, including Kraft Heinz, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, General Mills, and Nestle. The city's accusing those companies of deceptive marketing and violating California's competition and advertising laws. Chu argues that processed food is harming people's health.
We know is that there is an entire category of foods that represent 70% of the American food supply that is making the public sick. These companies know their products are harming people, but they continue to design, market, and profit off them, particularly at the expense of our kids.
The lawsuit is asking the companies to help local governments offset the health care costs associated with ultra-processed food consumption. Food law experts say there's growing evidence to support those claims.
There is data coming out now. We saw just last week several studies released in The Lancet showing this kind of data connecting ultra-processed foods to health impacts.
Some of the alleged health impacts include type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and colon cancer. So far, none of the companies targeted in the suit has commented.
2 immigration court judges say they were fired with no cause by the Trump administration, and now they're speaking out about the impact it could have on the immigration system. A total of 5 judges in San Francisco were laid off at the end of last month. They were not given a cause for termination, they say. Judge Shuting Chen and Judge Jeremiah Johnson say they both were at the immigration court when they found out they were being fired.
There was no reference to any negative performance reviews or any complaints that I had received or any problematic performance metrics of any kind. It was simply a vague email saying that I was being released.
The Attorney General had decided no other reason given. I know of no other reason.
The judges say firing civil employees like this is illegal, and now there are only 9 immigration judges for San Francisco, down from 21. The Department of Justice spokesperson said they could not comment on personnel matters, but that this Department of Justice is, quote, restoring integrity to our immigration system.
It is 8:50, and the commute has been rather uneventful. We've had slowdowns, but and the slowdown here is still pretty strong. So I think it's going to be at least another half hour before you see relief here. But the good news is we haven't had a lot of major crashes. We've had some minor ones. but the major ones have kind of stayed away. One of the things I do want to mention, though, is 580 westbound. We had a crash in Oakland, right near Highway 13, closer to Edwards. We have a lot of slow traffic. Westbound 580 approaching Grand or Park, there was a crash there. So 580, as Roberta astutely mentioned, I would avoid it in Oakland. I would get on 880, or if you're going a short distance, use local roads and avoid 580 through Oakland. And one of the things here, let me take a look at San Jose traffic. That's improving a little bit, but it's still pretty crowded getting into that West Valley. It's 8:50. What about today's weather? Here's Roberta.
One day when I had to avoid 580 through Oakland, I had to jump on 13 to 24 to 980.
You know your way around, yep.
Yeah, but I made it, and I made it safely, so it worked. Hey, Sal, last night you said that you saw the sunset. Well, I received a photograph from Father Mark Wiesner from Pleasanton, from Augustine, St. Augustine Church, and he said, look, no filter. And you got to believe him, because after all, he is my pastor. But there's a lot of reasons. You know, Andrew in our editing department, he asked me why all the different colors. Well, there's so many different reasons, but basically the bottom line is, first off, you had a high, thin cirrus clouds. You can kind of see them there in the distance, 20 to 35,000 feet. Then the purple's caused by the dry, clean air mass aloft. The pink is from the low moisture. A lot of low moisture still from the rains back in November. So it was really all the perfect ingredients to make this great sunset, and you might see it again tonight as well, because the fog is clearing out of the area. Flat waters right now out towards the Golden Gate Bridge. My ship is coming in. Oh, yes, it is. 49 degrees in San Francisco and across the bay in Oakland. We have 55 in Santa Rosa and in Fairfield due to the winds were really ominous earlier this morning in Santa Rosa. They're now beginning to die down somewhat in Fairfield, but still at 20. Everyone else is pretty calm at this hour. We will see our gustiest winds this morning and through the mid-morning hours. Right now up to 22, 24 miles per hour. Those are beginning to dial back. They were as ominous again, up to about 30 miles per hour. Pretty strong winds this morning. And again, they will flatten out later this afternoon. We have our beach hazard alert. It's still in effect until tonight at 10 p.m. And in addition to that, a coastal flood advisory for that green highlighted area there until Sunday. So a little bit of lapping of water on shore with the high tide at 9:04 this morning at 7 feet. That's about a foot above average. So we have this area of low pressure right here. It's riding up and around the ridge of high pressure, and we do have low over the Salt Lake City area together, pressure gradient causing the gusty winds. But again, northeasterlies, offshore flow, dry conditions, those winds dialing back this afternoon in the 60s. Your extended forecast, afternoon sunshine on Thursday with less wind, autumn sunshine each day through the weekend. And Andre, have a great weekend.
All right, thank you so much, Roberta. At 8:53. We're close. Holiday parties can hit differently when you're skipping the cocktails. When you join us on the 9, we'll talk with an expert about the small choices she says can make all the difference.
The housing market isn't expected to make any big shifts in 2026, but price changes could look different depending on where you're looking in the Bay Area. According to a study by Realtor.com, home prices are predicted to rise at a modest rate nationwide. In the South Bay, they're expected to rise less than 1%. In San Francisco and Oakland, prices are expected to drop about 2.5%. Mortgage rates are forecast to average 6.3% next year. Notably, existing home sales are expected to jump after a historically flat 2025.
A new study shows the U.S. economy is expected to soften at the start of the year and then strengthen in late 2026. But the UCLA Anderson report finds California's economic outlook is a bit more complicated. AI and other tech sectors continue to expand thanks to significant venture capital investment. But construction, hospitality, government-funded services, and other sectors are facing significant headwinds. That's due to pressure from federal spending cuts, tariffs, and the impacts of the White House's deportation policies. Well, Cal is reportedly close to bringing back a former Golden Bear to coach the football team. Multiple reports say Cal is expected to hire current Oregon defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoi. He grew up in the Bay Area, starred at De La Salle, and played at Cal from 2000 to 2005 before joining the coaching staff. He is widely regarded as being one of college football's best recruiters. He served 5 years under Nick Saban at Alabama and was a defensive line coordinator in the NFL. The Golden State Warriors have another injury to worry about after last night's 124-112 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Jimmy Butler exited the game in the second quarter and remained out for the rest of the night. The team says he had a sore left knee. The humbled Warriors made a push to the final frame, cutting the lead to 4 points. The Warriors are off tonight before taking on the 76ers in Philadelphia.
There's a new path to college here for high school students in Pittsburgh. Cal State East Bay just signed an agreement with Pittsburgh High to offer guaranteed admission to students who meet certain class and grade requirements. CSU East Bay has already started offering admission to other districts in the East Bay, including Hayward and Oakland. It's part of a growing program at Cal State across California, which will eventually be statewide by the fall of 2027. Happening today, the annual tree lighting ceremony at San Francisco's Ritz-Carlton. There'll be live entertainment, including holiday carolers and trumpeters. Our own Betty Yu is co-hosting. She'll be joined by a child from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It all begins at 5:30 tonight. In the East Bay, the city of Piedmont's holding its 56th annual Lights Up Piedmont lighting event. The celebration includes the lighting of an 80-foot-tall redwood tree, a menorah lighting, latkes, cider, and hot cocoa. There will also be activities for children and families, as well as photos with Santa. The celebration in Piedmont begins at 6 o'clock tonight. A quick pause here on Mornings on 2 as we give you a live look outside. What a gorgeous Wednesday. Stick with us as Mornings on 2 to 9 starts in just 60 seconds.